Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into a whole stack of sources covering what's happening in Canada right now. Our goal: pull out the key insights, the surprising bits, and basically give you a shortcut to being really informed.
Exactly. And it's about connecting the dots,
Yeah.
between business, policy, social changes, how they all influence each other to get that bigger picture.
Okay, let's jump in. First up, some economic pressure points. Canada's steel industry. It looks like they're bracing for job losses.
Yeah, that's tied to the new U.S. tariff rate quotas. Basically, a certain amount gets in cheap, but more than that, higher tariffs hit.
And there might be changes coming really soon, like July 21st. Sounds pretty immediate.
It is, and it's a stark reminder, isn't it, how global trade friction directly impacts Canadian jobs, puts industries in a tough spot, makes them think about long-term viability, maybe even automation, shows how sensitive things are to U.S. policy.
Right. And sticking with jobs, but maybe some better news. The DHL Express strike.
Ah, yes,
Yeah.
with Unifor.
Looks like they reached a tentative agreement for over 2,100 workers. That strike started way back on June 8th.
And it caused real disruption. Businesses scrambling for FedEx, other options. It really highlights supply chain vulnerability. How much we rely on smooth logistics. Swift resolutions are key.
Yeah, it definitely makes companies think twice about relying on just one provider, maybe.
Could be. Or pushes them further towards automating parts of their delivery network. It's all connected.
Okay, so moving from economics and labor, let's look at social policy. Aurora Cannabis Inc.
Right, the medical cannabis provider.
They've expanded their compassionate pricing. Now, patients earning up to $60,000 a year can get subsidized access. That seems pretty high for a program like that.
It is significant, and it's more than just like corporate goodwill. It's strategic. They're weaving healthcare access right into their business model in a really regulated field, sort of blurring the lines between private companies and healthcare.
Yeah.
Sets a precedent, perhaps.
Interesting. And while all this is happening, the digital world keeps spinning. Security, privacy, always evolving. Saw a legal bulletin from Fasken about new federal initiatives, specifically updates to Bill C-2, the Strong Borders Act.
That's right. It touches on data disclosure, lawful access. Basically, how and when companies might have to provide access to encrypted data for law enforcement.
So what does that mean practically?
Well, for businesses, especially in tech, it means compliance rules are shifting again. Constant updates needed. The digital rulebook, it's never really finished. It's always being revised.
Underpinning a lot of this, major laws. Bill C-5, the One Canadian Economy Act, got royal assent June 26.
The final step.
But it wasn't straightforward, right? The Senate spent a while on it, raised concerns about Indigenous rights specifically. Fiscal bills C6 and C7 also passed alongside it.
Exactly. And what's key here is, even though it passed, there's a committee coming that they'll study things further enfranchisement, Indigenous language toolkits. So it's not like case closed. It signals ongoing work, especially on Indigenous rights and inclusion.
Okay, so lots of serious policy stuff. Let's lighten it just a touch. Hockey.
Always a unifier.
NHL.com put out a preview. Canada's projected roster for the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan. We're talking Marchand, Marner, Binnington, some big names.
Right. And it might seem like just sports, but it actually taps into something deeper, doesn't it? National identity, future hopes. These cultural events shape how we see ourselves just as much as policy does. It's a different kind of national focus.
So quite a range we've covered. Economic jitters, labor peace, evolving social access, digital rules, major laws, and even Olympic dreams. It's pretty dynamic.
Absolutely. And looking at these specific things, the tariffs, the strike resolution, that cannabis pricing detail, the ongoing work on Bill C-5, it gives you a really powerful way to see the bigger national and even international trends. It shows Canada constantly balancing things, adapting.
So here's something to think about as we wrap up. How might some of these specific details, like that $60,000 income level for medical cannabis, or the fact that a committee is still working on Indigenous rights related to Bill C-5, how might these signal maybe a deeper shift in how Canada tries to balance economic growth with social equity? Something to chew on.